What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you are having an incredible day. Man, I'll tell you, I am excited. There's so much great things going on in the industry. There's some turmoil going on. There's some conversation that's happening, and I could not be more excited to have one of my good friends, John Gibson with Caliber Home Loans, hanging out with me today. And I'll be honest, this guy, if you don't know John Gibson, this is one of the guys who is one of the absolute patriarchs of the industry. The guy's been in the industry since the early 90s. He's been in the wholesale world, he's in the broker world, and he's just doing the right things to continue to help us as originators, focusing on the consumer. And that's really what we're talking about today, because he has been in this for so long. Again, John, you've been doing this for a long time. You understand the originator, you understand the consumer and really what's best for them. And that's really what Caliber's focusing on right now.
Yeah, look, hey, great to be here. I'm glad we're finally able to do this. And yeah, to your point, I mean, straight out of college, right? This is all I've ever done. And literally, I was a wholesale account executive and then took my path down into management. But literally, I've been in wholesale since the beginning of the 90s. And it's what I'm passionate about. It's what I love in this industry, is supporting the broker community.
That's awesome. And again, talking about the broker community, let's get into this just a little bit. I don't want to dive down this rabbit hole, but back last year, AIM is kind of making this big noise. Anthony Costa is kind of making some noise right now. And again, you actually had the opportunity to be there at the very first event. You got to talk about the independent mortgage broker, and some great things that were happening there. And really, there's some people really kind of lashing out at Costa and for things that he is saying. But at the same time, you got to give the guy credit at the same time. He's passionate about this movement. I know you are as well. So is it just the fact that nobody in the retail world is willing to stand up and have that voice?
Yeah, I think, I try to compartmentalize things, right? And at the end of the day, like you said earlier, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. And I think it's one of the biggest things that's been missing in the wholesale space, right? Is the common voice, the independent mortgage broker rallying together as an industry, where before it was always so segmented and separated. And now what you've seen over the last year, and I'm completely impressed by it. Like you said, I had a chance to get on stage and talk at their first real big convention last year in Vegas. And I can't be more excited and happy and proud of what the channel has done over a very quick time period in the last year, and just that rallying and rejuvenating the momentum that's in the wholesale space. It's exciting to see again.
Well, it is exciting because there is this movement. I like how you refer to it as that. There is this movement, and people are buying in. I don't know if that's the right word, but they're just following it. They're excited. There is a passion about being an originator, because honestly, at the end of the day, that's what it comes back to, is originators really focusing on the consumer. And when there is this discussion, especially when it's very open and there's a lot of things kind of out, in the world for everybody to see, it keeps people honest at the end of the day, which is really cool. And again, that's something Caliber has always done so well. They've always been honest, and something they've always done is really given back to the originator. As a matter of fact, you and I were talking about that. You guys do focus on the originator, and some of the systems that you guys run really make sure that the consumer and the originator, they stay connected. You guys are giving, leads back to your originators.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about Caliber, right? Look, I've been here 7 years, right? And I've seen us grow from who we were back then to who we are today. And what I'm most proud of is the efforts we've put forward to support our business partners, right? And at the end of the day, if we're able to do what's right for our business partner, then we're doing what's right for the consumer. And at the end, if the consumer is being treated right and handled correctly, then it's a win for everybody. So what you're referencing is something we created. And actually, by the way, Anthony played a part in this, right? So I got to give Anthony Costa some credit on this. We sat with him over a year and a half ago and came up, we service 97% of loans we do. So we're able to reconnect the broker's client, their borrower, with them when there's an opportunity for financing in the future. And give you a quick stat, right? We've in the last year, we've connected 45,000 borrowers back to their original broker. And look, by no stretch of imagination is it perfect, right? I'm not going to sit here and kind of blow smoke up everybody's what. There are definitely holes that we found and we've plugged them, but there were some pain points along the way. But I'm very proud of that program. And in the end, what it is look, our mentality is very simple from a wholesale perspective. That borrower is the broker's borrower. At the end of the day, that loan officer is the one that originated the loan. They have the relationship. How can I help support that in the future? And that's what we've done. We've created a program that, again, has passed back over 45,000 leads to the original business partner that sent us the loan.
Dude, and that's exactly what it's about. Is I don't care if you're in retail, I don't care if you're in wholesale, I don't care where you are, but when that focus is on the originator and the business that they've created, and that staying with that originator, we all know, anybody who's ever originated in their lifetime, they know how difficult it is to win over a consumer. We all talk about relationships. Yeah, we're building relationships with these people. So when it does get taken from us, like, hey, you're reaching into my family's, you're reaching into my wallet. You're taking from me, my family.
Correct.
So when companies like Caliber are so focused on making sure that deal gets back to the originator, they spent the time, the blood, the sweat, and the tears that went into originating that loan. That is such a breath of fresh air. And honestly, like, again, going back to how difficult it is, we all talk about technology and how things are going to change and how easier it is to get. Now, I will give it's probably easier to do the transaction with all the technology that's out there with fintech. The actual application and that side of things is easier. But winning over that borrower, that is still absolutely difficult. It's very, very hard for us as originators to win that deal, to build that relationship, to build that trust. So when we're able to accomplish that, it's so critical to have partners like Caliber to have those loans coming back to us year after year, time after time.
Yeah, look, this has been ingrained in me from when I started in the industry, right? This is still to this day, it's the biggest financial decision that somebody's going to make. Look, most people don't stay in a loan for 30 years, right? But at the end of the day, when you look at everything that goes into getting a mortgage, buying a house, refinancing a home, it's one of the biggest financial decisions they're going to make in their life. And while I agree with you wholeheartedly that maybe the evolution of the process and the actual manufacturing of the loan technology has aided, statistics still show, man, like at the end of the day, they want to deal with somebody, right? There's a human interaction there. And that's the value that we place on the partnership, right? That connection has existed between the broker and that borrower. And our goal is, look, if we can play a role in it where we can help that broker stay in touch with that borrower and actually be kind of like a client for life for the broker, we're all in. And again, I want to reiterate this. We rolled it out. We've evolved it since the beginning. There's definitely been some hiccups along the way and maybe some holes that we filled. But that's anything when you roll it out, right? So
always,
I'll stand by our program and I'm proud of it. And look, we got some more things coming too. We're going to enhance it. We're going to get more timely on passing the leads back to our brokers. We have their information going on the statements that go to the borrowers in the very near future. So like there's a lot more we're going to roll into that program. And I'm extremely proud of what it is. And again, it's all rooted in one thing, right? Respecting the relationship that we have with our business partners and understanding that, without them, we would have never gotten that loan to begin with. So it's their borrower, and we're just here to help facilitate them staying in touch with their borrower. You can almost treat it like it's another version of a CRM, right? Like at the end of the day, we're giving them opportunities to say, hey, you should be reaching back out to your client.
And that's just smart because I'm an originator. We all know as originators, sometimes it's just nice to have that friendly reminder. We all have CRMs, we all have systems, but at the end of the day, we're busy. So having, like you said, those partners as lenders, when that loan is going to you, again, when an originator sends you at Caliber a loan, they're trusting you with that consumer, where they're saying whether you have the best rate, whether you have the best program, whatever it may be. Ultimately, they're trusting you. So again, that relationship between originator and lender is so critical, being able to trust. And again, this discussion that's happening within the retail, within the wholesale, the broker world right now, it really is good. Now, there's some negative, there's some mud flinging around. I don't think that needs to be done. Again, there's plenty of room for collaboration. Uniting the industry through collaboration is a big deal. But again, it's just focusing on the right thing. So kind of switching gears with this, again, you are really helping originators. And as you've been in this for as long as you've seen these trends, these up and downs. And, a lot of people talk about the market that we're in right now. Where should originators really be focused on continuing to grow their business and helping consumers?
Yeah. So look, I'll preface this by number one, no matter the market that we're in today or any market, I still think without a doubt, the best lifeline for any loan officer today is to continue to stay in touch with their past book of business, right? Asking for referrals, seeing if there's anything they can do for them. That is your number one lifeline in the industry. And people like yourself that have been doing this forever, have mastered that, right? And people lose sight of that, right? It's a transactional based business. I close this one, I move on to the next one. And the ones that struggle, I think, don't do a good enough job mining the past client base. So in my mind, that's one way to start. Second thing is, I just talked about this at another convention. I do think the non-agency space is one that everybody should open their mind to. At the end of the day, look, it's predicted to grow 100% in 2019 versus 2018, and wow. It's expected to grow another 100% in 2020. So if you were a loan officer today and you're thinking about, okay, I got my traditional conventional government, VA, USDA, renovation, all those different types of things, maybe reverse if you specialize in that. One of the things I think you need to add to your repertoire is understanding the significance and the role non-agency plays in the marketplace, because that's going to be a big growing segment over the next 2 years. And the biggest misconception about this, Josh, is this isn't subprime lending, right? This is just, for whatever reason, it doesn't fit that agency box as it's defined as today. But people would be shocked at the FICO scores that are being done on these non-agency loans, the LTVs, the DTIs, the performance of the loans, and more importantly, they'd be shocked at what the actual pricing and the interest rates are. They're not what people think they are. So if I were sitting in a position today to talk to a lot of LOs like I am with you right now, it would be a lot of, hey, let's focus on something you may not have focused on in the past. And guess what? It ain't that easy, Josh, right? Because now we're in like a mini refi boom and everybody's pipelines are getting filled up again. So it's easy to go back to the same old habits. Challenge yourself as an LO to expand your thinking, understand the non-agency space and how that fits into your demographics, your MSA, where you do your business, because it's going to be a big growing segment over the next 2 years.
I'm so glad you bring that up, because thinking outside of the box, because we are going to go, we have all the professionals, we have a lot of people jumping on, and we are in a mini refi boom. We've seen rates drop. The Feds came in and announced they're not going to be doing really a rate hike anymore. So everybody, I see loan officers fist pumping like, yeah, another refi boom. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go again. Like we're going to get in that roller coaster because people are going to get so like, oh, well, it's easy to do business now. But being able to focus on products, niche, if you will, to really focus on things outside of the box, keeping focused and really saying, okay, what can I add to my repertoire that's going to continue to help me grow, expand my business outside of that thinking that I'm so accustomed to. You have to get outside that box that we are so accustomed to staying in, especially as originators. And again, that's why Caliber, again, having that option for you is great. And that's a great option for you because not everybody has it. So really, really cool stuff. And again, I think that's so critical for us. And the fact that you said that, John, just makes me smile, because so many loan officers right now are having like sitting back like, here we go, my pipeline's stacking up, we're stacking up, we're going to be good. But we all know it always gets that roller coaster. Like, and that's when LOs are like, oh no, what was I thinking? So preparing now, I think that's really good coming from you.
Josh, I love hearing what you just said, because it's been ingrained in me since I started in the industry, right? Which is, you can get caught up in this, right? The whole, oh, I'm busy again, I got the pipeline. But I always challenge people, well, remember what happened 4 or 5 months ago when it looked like we weren't going to have this type of market as we got into November, December. And then there was a question on how strong the purchase market was going to be this year. And I always challenge LOs to remember, like, focus on that time, right? Like, what were you thinking? How were you going to go about getting another referral and getting business in the door? And what happens a lot of time is most people don't prepare, to use your word, because I love that. They don't prepare for what's going to happen in the future. And here's my thing. If I'm an LO today in this marketplace, I am making sure I'm reaching out to all my past clients that I've done business with. I'm making sure that I'm breaking down my referral relationships, but I'm also planning for, okay, what happens in 6, 7 months? And how do I do that, right? How do I separate myself from my competition? And I can guarantee you, if you're an LO today that masters the non-agency space and you walk through that realtor's door, let's use realtors as an example, guess what? You're going to have a leg up on your competition because they're going to be behind you from a standpoint of how you can build that referral relationship. So to me, I love what you're going with, which is, it's always easy to get caught up in the moment. Everything's great, but are you forward thinking and preparing for what's going to happen next? And if you are, you need to make sure you're putting the non-agency in your repertoire, so to speak.
Brilliant. And I absolutely love it. And I couldn't agree more, just because, again, you and I have been doing this long enough that we've seen those trends. We see it so frequently. And loan
Yep.
officers, they get so focused on their pipeline here and now that they're not planning 6 months. They forget about their goals. They forget everything that they planned for in 2019. And they're just like all in right now, which, again, I'm not saying you don't go all in, but you have to. This is a long-term game.
Yep.
Mortgage origination, is real estate in general, is a long-term game. If you just are fat and happy right now and you're not looking long-term, 6-8 months down the road, you're going to get left behind, because that time is going to come around. Rates aren't going to be quite what they were. The refi boom dies out. So not being able to have something, a product, having something that really differentiates you between the rest of your competition, really leaves you behind. And then you're usually you're in a worse position than you were to start out with. And you just get frustrated. And then that mentality of the originator, like, oh man, like, are you serious? So again, the stuff that we're talking about is so relevant, especially to the here and now. And I mean, with that, man, I mean, we've been jamming for 15 minutes. I've taken so much of your time, and I'm grateful for this. So, but I love to end with this, because you've given some great stuff. But if you were to challenge those who are watching the show, to all the originators, everybody watching the show today, what would you really challenge them to go out and do in their business today?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in mindset, right? Like I think when you wake up, there's really two things you can control, right? Is your mindset and your effort. Nobody can take that away from you, right? Those are two things that I think you every day are in control of, no matter what this industry throws at you, right? Like, to your point, you can ride the waves of the ups and downs. Well, that happens when you're busy too, right? The busier you are, the more issues you have on loans. So to me, when you look at somebody's mindset, I think, broadening your horizons, challenging yourself to continue to educate yourself in this industry and not get bogged down just in the, hey, my pipeline's grown, I'm good. That's one thing. And then look, your effort, right? I'm a big believer in this. You control your destiny when you have the ability with your effort and your attitude to control your own destiny. So to me, I think if you can challenge yourself as a loan officer, whether you've been in it for, a month, a year, 10 years, 15 years, there are things that you can challenge yourself to step outside of the box, step outside of your comfort zone, and challenge yourself to broaden your horizons and to push yourself. And to me, I think that's where we get bogged down in this industry, because again, there's so much that influenced us on a day in and day out basis. Just take a deep breath, step back, understand, the role that you play with inside the industry, and how, not only that, but with the economy just in general. And really, look, the LOs have been doing it forever. They know one thing, and know one thing certain, right? Is I got to take care of my client base, my customer. That's a given. We got to do right by them. But you yourself as an LO, I think you need to educate yourself, broaden your horizons, open up your mind to opportunities that are out there with regards to different products that you may never thought of selling again or sold in the past, and control, a couple things that you can control, right? Which is your mindset and your effort. If you can do that and challenge yourself to think outside the box, learn something new every day, set your goals. You said something earlier, Josh. I do it every year where I go through a whole list of what I want to accomplish. And it starts at the 30,000 foot level, and then I break it down to how do I get to that? I think the trick for a lot of the LOs that I would challenge them with is don't lose sight of that in today's market, because that's going to be the easy thing to do, which is put that to the side. You need to continue to focus on growth for the remainder of the year and 2020, because there's going to be a lot of opportunity in the wholesale space.
No, man, I couldn't agree more. That's a quote of the day. You can control two things, your mindset and your effort. Guys, some incredible challenges right there from John. I mean, that last couple, I got goosebumps, because there's a lot of stuff that John threw out right there that is absolutely critical to your future now and your future success. Again, it's not all 2019, we're in it, but you got to look long-term. It's the 2020 vision that's really going to help you continue to succeed. So, John, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, man. You gave us some incredible wisdom. Great strategies shared. So thank you so much. And again, Caliber, and you were doing some awesome things. Thanks so much for hanging out, brother.
Yeah, man. Hey, appreciate it. Hey, and thank you. You're doing a phenomenal job, man, with what you do. Appreciate it. Love following you. So I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, brother. Look forward to chatting with you soon. And guys, as always, we appreciate you. We love you. And we hope you have a great day. See you soon.